killer whale, the ocean's top predator. And this week, all eyes are on her because she's grieving.
A killer whale, 8,000 pounds of pure muscle, the apex predator of the sea, was dying. And yet, in his final hours, he didn't die alone. He was surrounded, not by predators, not by scientists, but by family. What unfolded next wasn't just rare, it was something the world had never seen. A ritual of farewell. A display of emotion so raw, so deliberate, that it left hardened researchers speechless and changed the way we understand life beneath the waves. His name was Hunchie, a massive 35-year-old bull orca with a distinct saddle patch and a reputation among marine biologists as a super male. He was strong, dominant, protective. To his pod, he wasn't just another whale. He was a guardian, a teacher, a symbol of resilience. Hunchie belonged to a pod of just 75 critically endangered orcas off the coast of Lapa Island in the Pacific Northwest. For years, researchers from the Pacific Marine Institute had tracked him as part of a long-term conservation study. To them, Hunchie wasn't just a subject, he was familiar, beloved even. Veteran marine biologist Robert Dewar and his team aboard the research vessel Ocean's Eye had been observing the pod's behavior when they noticed something strange. Hunchie wasn't swimming right. His dives were shallow, his breathing irregular, and then something even more alarming. He began to drift. Normally, orcas move through the ocean like poetry in motion, fluid, powerful, and precise. But Hunchie? He was struggling just to stay afloat. From the underwater cameras, they watched his movements become jerky and uncoordinated. The hydrophones, specialized underwater microphones, picked up sounds Robert had never heard before. Distress calls. Weak and uneven, but unmistakable. This wasn't hunting behavior. This wasn't play. This was a dying whale. What happened next, the team never expected, and they caught all of it on camera. One by one, the other whales began to move. 15 orcas, mothers, siblings, calves, surrounded Hunchie in a slow, deliberate formation. A circle. From above, it looked almost choreographed. From below, it looked like protection. They weren't just nearby. They were guarding him, body by body, keeping predators, currents, and chaos away. At the center of it all was Hunchie's mother, a 50-year-old matriarch, massive in size and silent in presence. She positioned herself directly beneath her son, using her strength to keep his blowhole above water. This wasn't instinct. This was care. Calculated. Precise. Every time a wave pushed him downward, she shifted. Every time his body listed to the side, she nudged him back. Not too much, not too little. And for the next 6 hours, she never moved. The research team was stunned. One scientist whispered, "Is this a vigil?" Robert, watching from the monitor station, felt something crack in his chest. "This isn't just animal behavior," he said. "This is something else." What they saw wasn't a fight for survival. It was a community preparing for death. Whales took turns supporting Hunchie when his mother tired. Younger orcas gently pushed his side to keep him level. One even swam beneath and let Hunchie rest on his back. Each role seemed planned, assigned. Even the calves participated, mimicking the adult's gentleness with astonishing care. Then, the sounds changed. Through the hydrophones came something new. Not the whistles and clicks of play, not the sharp, sonar-like signals of hunting. These were long, low, haunting. Samara, the acoustic specialist on board, pulled off her headphones and stared at the screen. "They're singing," she whispered. Robert put on the headset. What he heard would stay with him for the rest of his life. The calls weren't random. They came in waves. One whale would vocalize, then another, but always, after each call, a pause, a silence, like they were waiting. And then Hunchie, weak as he was, responded. Barely audible, but he responded. The pod, it seemed, was speaking to him. Not out of panic, not out of fear, out of love. Back at the center of the circle, the matriarch never let go. Even as her own body showed signs of strain, shaky fluke movements, slow dives, she refused to leave her son's side. Footage from the deep-sea camera showed her gently stroking Hunchie's side with her pectoral fin, over and over, a silent rhythm of comfort. At one point, their breathing synced. His short, shallow gasps, her longer, slower breaths. Together, they rose to the surface. And then she spoke. She pressed her rostrum, her nose, against the side of Hunchie's head and released a low-frequency sound directly into his ear. A message, researchers believe, a mother's final words. Not instinct, intention. As sunset neared, the pod's behavior shifted again. Each whale approached Hunchie one by one, not in chaos, in order. They touched him gently, with their rostrums, their fins. Some made eye contact, some sang. Even the youngest calf, under the supervision of his mother, floated close to Hunchie and offered a soft nudge, a gesture that nearly broke every researcher on board. The footage captured a ritual, a funeral. Not the first among orcas, but never before seen in such vivid, orchestrated detail. It was grief, not imagined, not anthropomorphized, real, measurable, documented. And then, just when it seemed his strength had faded, Hunchie rose. Not floated, rose. With one last surge, he pushed himself higher in the water column than he had all day. The pod responded immediately, forming a tighter circle around him. And then, Hunchie began to vocalize. But this time the calls were different. They were louder, clearer, directed. Directed at the calves. Researchers watched as he positioned himself between two of the youngest pod members and began to sing. The calls were complex, structured. They included vocal elements the team had never documented before, almost like teaching. Each calf responded in turn, timid, curious, a call, a reply, a pause, back and forth, until finally Hunchie stopped. His strength was spent. And then, without a cue, the ocean fell silent. 15 orcas. No sound, no movement, just stillness. The hydrophones, which had been buzzing with life, went dead. The researchers listened and wept. Hunchie had died, but his story wasn't over. His mother, now alone beneath him, began to guide his body forward, slowly, deliberately, a funeral procession. One by one, the pod joined in, taking turns, helping to carry him. Even the calves participated, brushing their rostrums along his body as if trying to memorize every line. For hours they stayed with him. Until finally, as the sun slipped beneath the horizon, they let him go.
The footage taken that day is now considered one of the most important behavioral observations in marine science history. It didn't just show grief, it showed memory, teaching, love. Not the kind we project onto animals, the kind they show us, if we're willing to see it. In his final moments, Hunchie gave the world a gift. Proof that beneath the surface of our oceans, something extraordinary lives, something complex, emotional, and deeply, unmistakably alive. If we don't protect these creatures, we're not just losing species. We're losing stories. We're losing family. Have you ever seen an animal do something that shattered your expectations? Let us know in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe for more incredible stories from the natural world.